Today, I'm answering all of your questions. That's coming up next. Welcome in, I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything makeup, skincare, and style for the over 50 woman. I put up a post on Instagram and opened it up to all your questions. Nothing was off limits, and that's what we'll be doing today. If you're new here, a very special welcome to you. I don't know if this is going to be the video that you're going to love. But the good news is that I do have plenty of makeup and skincare videos over on the channel. If you do enjoy what you see today, I hope you'll consider subscribing and make sure you click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And if you're interested in more makeup, skincare, and style for the over 50 woman, stop by prettyover50.com. There's a lot more great information just waiting for you there. Like I said, I put up a Q&A on Instagram, and if you're not following me on Instagram, come on over. But keep your expectations really low because I actually suck at Instagram. But every now and again, there are things on Instagram that happen that don't happen here on YouTube. So I hope that you'll come over to Instagram and join me there. I'm Pretty Over 50 on Instagram, just like here on YouTube. I did say that you could ask me anything. Nothing was off limits, and by golly, I got so many questions and I was really quite surprised. The interesting thing is that a lot of you asked the same questions, and there seemed to be certain categories that were of particular interest to you. First was personal, then it was spiritual, then travel, then it was career, what I did before YouTube and how I got started in YouTube, and then there were some skincare and some makeup questions. And that's the order that I'm going to be going in today. Because so many of you asked the same questions, I'm going to kind of lump them together, but every now and then I'm going to be including the question too because some of them were just so very good. We're going to start with personal questions, and I'm going to do my best to be as open as possible. This is a little uncomfortable for me. I would much rather hear about you than to talk about myself. Also, there's a very fine line between answering your questions, and I know that you're probably curious. I know I would be too. So there's a fine line between answering your questions and then blathering on endlessly about myself, and I hope I'm not going to tip over into that last category. I'll try to keep things as concise and informative as I can. The first question that so many of you asked me is, am I divorced? And the answer is, yes, I'm divorced. I've actually been divorced for quite a long time. I was married to my college boyfriend. We dated for about, I think, 5 or 6 years and were married after that. I was married over 20 years, but I've been single now for, gosh, probably 20 years or more. You guys also wanted to know if I'm dating anyone, and the answer is no, I'm not. Not because I wouldn't want to, but because I just haven't met anybody that I'm interested in pursuing that type of relationship with, but I'm definitely open to it. The one question that cracked me up regarding that is from Wendy, and she says, "You're so beautiful and sweet. Thank you very much. Why are you single? By choice, or have you figured out how difficult men are?" That cracked me up. The answer is, I don't know if men are difficult or not. I just haven't found anybody that I am that interested in, but I'll keep you guys posted if that changes. The next personal question comes from Rosaline, and it says, "You have 2 daughters, but only talk about one. Sorry if this question is too sensitive, but where is the other? Just always curious about this." Yes, I do have 2 daughters. My oldest daughter, Heather, lives up on the northern coast of California, and my youngest daughter is Grace. I don't talk about Grace as much on my channel because she passed away in July of 2018. And I'll give you a minute on that one. I know that's hard to hear. Yes, it was just as difficult and just as painful as you can imagine. And it still is in some ways, although it does get a little bit better, and I get a little better every day. Even knowing what I know about the spiritual world and that we are eternal energetic beings having a human experience in these little human form, it still is a very hard thing for me to know that I am not going to see her in the way that I was so used to for her 24 years. I'm learning to live with it. It's not always fun. Some days are better than others, but Heather and I are moving forward and we're making the most of what we have together. Now we're going to move on to spiritual questions, and I just want to let you know at the onset that I am open to everyone's belief system, and I really do think that everyone is right for them. I do have a very spiritual side to me, and I actually work as a past life regression therapist, helping people connect with their loved ones who are in spirit. It's a passion of mine, and I really enjoy it. And one of the questions was, how did you get started doing what you do career-wise? And how did you know you had that gift? Oh gosh, the answer to that is I have had spiritual experiences all my life. I just didn't realize that's what they were. I guess I just sort of thought everybody had those type of experiences, or the experiences I was having, I kind of didn't even really pay attention to. It wasn't until I started really meditating, gosh, maybe a little bit more than 10 years ago, that it really started ramping up. I have had out-of-body experiences. I've experienced clear audience when I've actually heard a voice separate from the voices around me, and I can actually sense when spirit is in the room. I'm not as active in my practice as I have been because I'm really transitioning from doing past life regression into working as a medium. And it is something that I'm working on, and it just takes time and it just takes practice. So I'm really excited about that. What I'm really clear on is that we are energetic, eternal spiritual beings, and there really is no time. There is only the eternal now. We just have a linear timeline here on Earth in order for us to move through the lessons that we have chosen for ourselves before we incarnated. It does make life a little bit more interesting and a little bit more fun, and at times when I'm not all caught up in my humanness, I'm able to step back and see things from a broader perspective, which sometimes can be very comforting. The next topic is career, and a lot of you asked me about what I did before YouTube and how I got started in YouTube. Marvin asked, what was your occupation before YouTube? And Kay Berger asked, what was your career background? I have pretty much worked for myself my entire life. I had a 35-year career as an illustrator and product designer in the gift and paper products industry. And you're probably going to say, well, what is that? What I did is I worked for manufacturers of products that sell at retail. I illustrated hundreds of greeting cards, gift wrap, gift bag, the flags you hang out in front of your home, decorative mats, kitchen items, all types of paper items, journals. I wrote and illustrated a couple of books. Any product that you can think of that has an illustration on it, I probably worked for that company. When I started my career as an illustrator in this industry, I ended up handling all the business side of the business myself. So I became very familiar with working with contracts and negotiating deals. What happened about 10 years after I was into the industry, I decided to open up my own agency and become an agent for other illustrators that worked in the licensing industry. That's what it was called, the licensing industry, because the images were licensed for products to be sold at retail. My agency ended up being very, very successful. I had a Disney artist, I had an Emmy award-winning animator, I had some of the best photographers in the country. It was really fun and really rewarding, and I enjoyed it very, very much. Fast forward, when that career kind of wrapped up, I was living with my oldest daughter, Heather, in Portland, Oregon, and I just got a wild hair that I wanted to go travel. And to be honest with you, I can't really remember what it was that got me thinking about it. I just knew I wanted to go travel all around and see everything for a long time. It was almost as though I couldn't do anything else. And I've had people say to me, gosh, you were so brave to do that. And it wasn't that so much, it was just that I couldn't not do it. I had spent 2 months in Italy a few years before that and knew that I was good at traveling. It was exciting to me. I was fine traveling alone, so I went ahead and put the trip together, and my daughter drove me to the airport and off I went. I was really, really lucky that the entire trip was fabulous. I had a great time. I met fabulous people. I spent some time in the Yucatan, right in the Caribbean, in a little town called Tulum. From there, I went to Ecuador. I met some wonderful people in Ecuador. After Ecuador, I went back to Mexico, up to San Miguel de Allende. Had a great time, met a lot of fun people. It was really just a magical experience. I had originally planned on going a lot more places into Europe and Portugal and Spain and doing a lot of that part of the world. It didn't end up happening. From San Miguel de Allende, I traveled up to San Antonio, Texas, where I hung out with a girlfriend for a little while, and then into Montana because I was really interested in Glacier National Park. It's one of my favorite parks. I love to hike, I love to kayak, and I really wanted to get to know that park, which is why I was in Montana in a little town called Whitefish. That leads us to the next question, and that's how I got started on YouTube. And Liz writes, "Yay, I'm excited for this one. I'm a curious person by nature, happy to learn more about you and how and why did you get started doing your YouTube channel?" The answer is I have no idea how I got started doing this. I do know that during the time I was raising the girls, I spent a lot of time taking advantage of other people's expertise in the makeup category because I didn't have time to research it myself. So I would go on blogs and on YouTube to find out what makeup I should buy. So I was really familiar with being someone who wanted the information. I was living in Montana, and it was not too long after Grace had passed. I was mostly crying and crocheting and watching YouTube beauty videos. And my decision to make a YouTube channel just sort of came out of that. Clearly, I was in a pretty challenging part of my life. I looked terrible because I'd been traveling and not taking care of my skin. Of course, I had never taken care of my skin, but the grief had really added to that. I looked in the mirror and I thought, I really need to get it together. Not only just my looks, but my happiness level and my engagement in life. And I thought, I wonder if I can do anything about my skin or if I'm just too old. That really was the basis of my channel. So I decided that I would put together a YouTube channel and kind of chronicle the progress on my skin. I didn't know if it was going to work, and I don't think I really realized how bad my skin looked when I first started my channel. What I decided when I first started my channel is that it needed to be all at home choices that I made, and they needed to be affordable. Because if someone was going to watch my channel, I didn't want cost to be a barrier. I wanted anybody to be able to do this regardless of what their economic position was. That's one of the reasons it's really been important for me to find very affordable, very effective products that really do make a difference. So the YouTube channel started a little bit after I moved up to Northern California to be with my oldest daughter, Heather. And I started in a tiny, tiny little one-room studio apartment that I had that was right overlooking the ocean. And of course, the rest is kind of history now. Another question is, do you have help with the behind-the-scenes aspect of YouTube, or do you do everything yourself? That's such a good question. Gosh, the first more than year I did everything myself, but the channel grew so fast that it's kind of become an overwhelming thing just for one person. I do have an assistant now. She's a virtual assistant. She lives in another state. We've never met face to face, but she's wonderful. And she handles a lot of the things that I simply don't have time to. So far, it's definitely been a great relationship, and she's a wonderful asset and a big time saver for me. Now we're going to move on to skincare, and then we'll do makeup after that. A lot of you had questions about how to put together a skincare routine, that it seems confusing, it seems overwhelming, and I get it. That's exactly how I felt when I first started in on this whole journey. One of you writes, would like to know the very basics for inexpensive products for morning and evening skincare with positive results on a limited budget for a first-time beginner. That's such a good question. Then there's another question, with all the skincare products, it gets too confusing and expensive. Not everyone has the money for all the products that get promoted. What would be the very basic, inexpensive skincare to have when on a budget? I love those questions because those are exactly the kind of questions I had when I started on my skincare routine. I have done some videos on beginning skincare, and if you haven't seen them, go over to the channel and just type in skincare and they'll come up. I am going to be doing a couple of videos, and they're coming up in the next several days, on not only what my AM and PM routine skincare is now, but how to actually learn how to put a skincare routine for yourself. So many people ask me, what's your skincare routine? And I can tell you, but it's really not going to be that relevant for you based on your skincare needs. I think the most important information that I can provide is how to put together a skincare routine that works for you in a very effective, very affordable way. And that's what I'm going to be doing in a couple of videos that are coming up in just a few days. I'll go into the absolute basics. I'll show you how you want to put together a skincare routine, because I think we do it all backwards, and walk you through step by step on how to put together a very effective, affordable AM and PM skincare routine. So look forward to that on the channel. It'll be coming up very, very soon. And next question, and I'm sure a lot of you have had this as well, is how long do you wait between applying the different serums you use? I don't. I just put them on one after another. They're all just going to sink in anyway. The one thing that I'll wait for every now and again is if I put my moisturizer on after all my serums and everything else, I might wait 5 or 10 minutes to put on my sunscreen. It depends on how quickly I'm going to be putting on my makeup and really what my plans are for the day. So that's the only time I wait. Other than that, it's just for me, boop, 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 on down the line, and I'm done. Another question is, do you still shave your face? Absolutely. I do. I probably shave my face maybe once a week. You know what's interesting to me is that the hair on my face doesn't seem to be as prevalent as it used to be. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the skincare. I don't know if it's my age, but I don't seem to get as much hair, and those little bristly ones that are really more like whiskers, I don't seem to get those as much as I used to. Has that happened with you guys? Put it down in the comments below if you've had that same experience. Chrissy asked, which product would you say have you seen the biggest results with reducing wrinkles? And I've gotten that a lot, like what really works for reducing wrinkles? That is a bigger, more difficult, complicated question than you would think. And what I would have said up until probably 2 months ago is I have the same wrinkles I had when I started. They just look a little bit better. Although in the last couple of months, I can say that I think I have fewer wrinkles, or my wrinkles are more softened. If you want to compare my face now with my face when I very first started, just go over onto the channel, scroll down to the very bottom, and you can watch the progression of my skin over the months, and now we're into about 1.5 years. The first thing I noticed with my skincare routine is my skin got a lot brighter and a lot fresher looking, which made the wrinkles look a little less icky and yucky. So my skin just looked fresher and brighter. I do think now that my wrinkles are softening up, and you might be able to say she has fewer wrinkles, but I'm not really sure if that could be technically correct. Of the products and devices that I've used, I would say that Tretinoin through Curology, and you can get Tretinoin a lot of different places, and of course the most common name for that is Retin-A. That to me is one of the most important elements in my skincare routine, because what we know based on research is that is the one thing that you can actually put on your face that's going to teach your skin to act younger. It is not an immediate effect, and it oftentimes will take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years for the Tretinoin to really start showing some results. But it is the one thing that we know that will help your skin act younger. That's why it's so important to me, and I think that after 1.5 years, the Tretinoin is probably working a little bit. I have seen pictures of ladies who have used a Tretinoin product, which of course is a vitamin A derivative, who look completely different 3 and 4 years down the road. So definitely that's the number one. As far as the devices go, I think for wrinkle improvement, for me, the biggest have been the marionette lines and the nasolabial folds. And I think the NIRA has done that. Although if you were to say to me, what one device should I spend money on? I would say a red light device and get a really good one with a lot of power. The reason that I would say that over the NIRA, if you can only buy one, is because the red light device, you can use it for so many things. I've used it on my sore knees. I use it for anti-aging. I have some other skincare issues that it's really helped with. I'll go into that down the road at some point. But definitely, I think a red light device is not only so incredibly handy for anti-aging, but it's so good for overall health. I'm going to do a quick makeup question now that I thought was really a good one, and I think it's from Leanne. She wants to know what foundation and primers I use to get that glow. She said, I just can't seem to get that same glow. And the answer to that is different than what you would think. I don't think the glow that you're seeing, if you're seeing a glow, is from my primer or foundation. I think it's from my highlighter and from some of the finishing powders that I use. I have learned so many little tricks over the last year and a half about makeup on more mature skin that really have made a difference in how my makeup looks. And again, if you want to see how my makeup used to look, just go back to my early videos and compare my makeup then to my makeup now. I think it's just a matter of getting the lay of the land of a little bit more mature skin and learning what products really can make a difference. I found that highlighter and the finishing powder from Milani, the Prep Set and Glow, makes such a difference on just the glowiness and the brightness of my skin. And I really find that when I use those products in my makeup routine, it just makes everything look fresher and prettier. Well, you guys, I think you've listened to me talk about myself long enough. I hope I answered your questions, and I hope that you found this even just a little bit interesting. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, bless your heart for making your way all the way through this. I can't imagine that my life would be interesting to you if you haven't followed my channel for a while. But if you did enjoy it, I hope that you'll subscribe and make sure you click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. You guys know it just thrills me when you take a few minutes out of your day to spend it with me. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Again, I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything makeup, skincare, and style for the over 50 woman. Make it a great day. Wear your sunscreen and all. See you in the next video. Bye now.